very warm welcome to our review of men's singles final day at the All England Club, the culmination of what's been a wonderful couple of weeks at the most famous venue in this sporting environment. And what a finale we were anticipating as well. I'm delighted to have Kathy Niana Seagram and Nick McCarville alongside me. Let's hope that your microphone falling off there won't affect your words of wisdom. Two legends of the game, Federer appearing in his 31st Grand Slam final, Djokovic his 25th. Much was made of the Federer-Nadal rivalry ahead of their semi-final, but this is pretty tasty as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think almost there's an extra bit of edge here because Djokovic knows how much the crowd adores Federer, particularly here with those Wimbledon titles behind him. And for both of them, it's all about making history. It's all about just getting another Grand Slam title to keep their tally going. And they're both desperately wanting it.
Djokovic was most people's favourite, but in this show yesterday, you were edging towards Roger Federer. Why was that again, Nick?
Oh, well, I picked Fed at the beginning of the tournament, Marcus, so I couldn't switch teams there. But I just also felt like they had both been so brilliant so far in the tournament. And Federer coming off that big win over Rafael Nadal, where I felt like he played on his terms. And when he plays on Federer's terms, you always give the GOAT a shot to win out there, especially on the green stuff, on the grass.
It had to be remembered that Federer had never beaten both Nadal and Djokovic in the same Grand Slam event. And of course, that's what he had to do if he was to pick up a 9th Wimbledon title and a 21st Slam altogether. For defending champion Novak Djokovic, a 6th Wimbledon final and the prospect of claiming a 5th title, which would put him alongside Bjorn Borg, of course. The Serb looked ultra cool. He led 25-22 in their head-to-head record. He also knew that Roger Federer would have the backing, not necessarily of the royal family, who would be strictly neutral, but certainly of the majority of the other 16,000 people lucky enough to be inside centre court. We're all set, we hope, for a classic. In the commentary box, Boris Becker, Tim Henman and Andrew Castle.
I think it was 4 or 5 forehand errors in the first tie-break for Federer. It's 3 backhand unforced errors in the third set tie-break so far. Double break for Djokovic, 4-1 serving.
It's as good as it gets.
It's just a sort of warrior point. Djokovic loves to win at this point. Just sapping the energy, draining the batteries of the man at the other end.
Grass court tennis at its finest. Two very different styles. Head-on collision.
Djokovic.
Djokovic.
Not an easy one out of the air.
From 1-5 to 4-5. Seeing it from Federer's point of view, Djokovic will serve the next 2 points. Just came across the ball a tad too much.
Ball was called out.
Or did he? Yes.
6-4.
Just fading wide. What a surprise.
Djokovic gives him the slowest second serve of the match. And wins the point.
Courageous stuff. Novak Djokovic winning that big rally to get into the tie-break from love 15 down, winning his serve and then a superb start.
2 sets to 1.
Federer no doubt disappointed that he couldn't find a little bit of inspiration there.
(15-13).
The call didn't come.
What do you think, Boris?
Awfully close. I'm taking the 5th.
I'll go back edge. Oh. Fine margins, very fine margins.
Look at this.
Thank you. Players are ready. Thank you. Please. Please. Thank you.
This is rubbing Novak up the wrong way, I promise you. Firm down the middle on the backhand side. A miss from Djokovic. And it's a break in the 4th to Federer.
You know, I think he feels the ball as good as he's done in his career. He's serving for the 4th set now.
Love.
And after a disappointing and exhausting game 5-2, looks like Roger has recovered.
Out 40 love.
It's a smile on his face, and he's seen everything.
It's a hole to love, the crowd rise, and we have a fifth and deciding set as I look at Merker. A deciding set of the championships. Perfect. What else were you doing on a Sunday afternoon? Well, they're on their feet, and Federer beginning to look like he's a bit out on his. 3 hours and 24 minutes. 2 more break points for the world #1. Oh, that's very pushy. Second serve, middle of the box.
30-40.
95 miles an hour isn't really terribly
Sometimes
threatening.
the arm can get a little bit tight, but it's also the footwork. Didn't get in position.
Federer was in hoping rather than forcing, and Djokovic will hit that target.
Advantage, Federer. It's away. Game on again in the 5th set.
It's the forehand again.
Thank you. Please.
Yeah, that's the break. Djokovic had 30 love and got really tight. Federer was there with this forehand, low part of the net. Thank you very much. I'll serve for my 9th championship. And look at the crowd. And listen to this reception.
Breathe in, breathe out.
40-30.
And just as Federer passed Djokovic to get the break in the previous game, Djokovic denies Federer in this.
Yes.
2 championship points.
Thank you.
Gone.
Thank you.
Amazing, isn't it? That is guts from Djokovic. Down the line. Might be the shot of the decade. It's an amazing, technically proficient, piercing blow. Novak Djokovic has 3 championship points.
Mr. Djokovic is trying to call right here. Ball was called out.
Now what?
I think if this ball were to be in, the call came before
Yes.
Federer hit the shot, so they would replay the point.
Oh, that's tough. It was going to be difficult.
Replay the point.
Replay the point. No, Novak. That did not affect, or it did affect Roger.
6-3, Djokovic.
Still 3-6, replay. And that's it. On a massive miss hit, Wimbledon, number 5 for the Serbian superstar. What a treat this has been. The top seed triumphs, and it can surprise no one. He's beaten Roger Federer today in the longest final in Wimbledon history. And he's beaten Roger Federer in all 3 Wimbledon finals that he's played him in.
It clearly tastes good. He's got an appetite for success, particularly on the grass. A 5th Wimbledon crown for Novak Djokovic. His 16th Grand Slam title. It takes him, of course, within 4 of Roger Federer, just 2 behind Rafa. And he's still a relatively young man at the age of 32. These are the live pictures as Wimbledon 2019 draws towards its close. Still a lot of people here wanting to make the most of a reasonably pleasant evening. It's been the coolest day of the championships, but goodness me, what drama out there, and how fitting in some ways that the first year after the rule change, we got a final set tie-break. Carthy and Nick, I'm not quite sure where to begin. Let's start with Novak, who just has this unbelievable desire to find a way through, as he's demonstrated after 4 hours and 57 minutes.
Desire and belief, and also that extra edge of aggression that came out at certain points during that match. I think at 10-all again was the point where he just made sure that he was the one that was forcing the situation, and you could tell there were a few points where Roger Federer was getting tight, and that just lets Novak in a tiny, tiny bit, and I think that was the big difference between them with his mentality versus Federer's mentality, and I guess part of that might be it's one of the last times is always going to be just at the back of Federer's mind, whereas Djokovic is 32. He's got years. He knows that.
We'll talk more about Roger and what this is going to feel like for him in a moment. One thing that struck me about Novak today was how calm he was, almost as though he was deliberately subduing himself. Even at the end, there was that knowing smile, but none of the roaring and the fist pumping that we've seen in the past.
Well, it was almost like a Davis Cup atmosphere for him out there, and he knew that going in, right? He's played Federer here before in 2 finals in 14 and 15, and I actually remember at the US Open final in 16, I believe it was, that he was basically, it was Novak against the crowd. And I felt like he knew that coming in and reminded himself, don't waste your energy on anything except your tennis. And it served him well. You look at the way that he had to fight through those dodgy 2nd and 4th sets for himself, tennis-wise, but didn't allow himself to get frustrated, and that's a huge benefit. Even though he faced up against those 2 championship points, he was still the better player when all was said and done, and that, I think, in part is due to what you call out there.
Yeah, and he's made a habit of saving match points against Roger Federer. We think back to the US Open semi-finals in 2010 and 2011, where he just teed off. So perhaps that was in the back of his mind. But we are not surprised by what this man does. He has been quite extraordinary. Equally, your heart has to go out to Roger Federer. Somebody at the end of all this had to lose, and it could not be more painful, really, as he watches the celebrations from the opposing camp. At nearly 38 years of age, the chance for a 9th Wimbledon title, that 21st crown that might have kept him ahead of the rest when they all hang up their rackets. How's he going to deal with this now, Carthy, do you think? I
think he's going to find this one really tough to get over, and I think we saw that in his face, in the interview afterwards, in the reaction that he gave, and also in his wife and the family reaction as well. They seemed very emotional about it. Just getting to this final at Wimbledon means so much, and I think there was a point a few years ago where we thought he was going to definitely not be overtaken in the Grand Slam titles. But we are all now starting to realise that Djokovic could quite easily overtake him, and Roger Federer clearly knows that as well, and he wants that record. Yeah. So it's really tough for him.
Well, he hasn't beaten Djokovic since 2015. It's now 5 wins in a row for Novak. Is there still time for Federer to add to that Grand Slam tally, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even back in 2012, for Roger and Novak here, this was really special for Novak on the balcony here with little stuff on. I do think Roger still has shots. Listen, you gave him a shot in Australia and New York and here in London for the next couple of years if he chooses to play. But this was huge for Novak, right? I mean, 16 majors now. You talk about Roger at 20, and they're all chasing those records. They all love to win. They all want to be etched in history, and surely they are. I think, to me, more than anything else, it was just raw heartbreak for Roger to lose this today, and that is pure elation for Novak Djokovic to come through that match the way that he did.
The perfect response from the disappointment of losing at the semi-final stage of the French Open. As we've heard, he becomes the first man in the Open era to save those 2 championship points and win the title here, and that self-belief is going to make him very hard to stop now, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, and I think just winning the same number of titles as someone like Bjorn Borg for him is such an achievement. He was looking at the Pete Sampras level of 14 titles previously when it came to Grand Slams at Wimbledon. He looks at Sampras, he looks at Bjorn Borg, he looks at Federer, and he's just slowly creeping up with all of those. And that adds to his belief every time that he knows that the US Open and the Australian are great opportunities for him to win. But to come to Wimbledon and do back-to-back titles again is a huge achievement for Djokovic.
Yeah, he most certainly is a super Serb. It wasn't all about the men's singles today. A few other